What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we have a really intense movie to review, but I do think it is one that is well worth seeing. That movie is Warfare, a war action movie distributed by A24, written and directed by former U.S. Navy SEAL Ray Mendoza and Alex Garland, director of films such as Ex Machina, Annihilation, and Civil War. The film actually follows Ray Mendoza's actual experiences from his time in the Iraq War with his U.S. Navy SEAL team. This film specifically follows this compartmentalized story about one moment in time where his platoon was facing immense warfare. And another thing that's very fascinating about this movie, and something that I really appreciate, probably the thing I appreciate the most, that Mendoza himself shared along with Alex Garland. They did a Q&A after the screening I was at the Music Box Theater here in Chicago. They described this as basically the screenplay was created by the memories of all those who survived. So they went around, they reunited that platoon together and tried to piece together everything that each one could remember, taking pieces and fragments of their memories, putting them all together to create an experience that they felt like was truly authentic and really a fair and accurate representation of what actually went on that day. There's a pretty massive ensemble cast, starting with DeFaro Wu Tai, who plays Ray Mendoza himself, and then we have actors such as Will Poulter, Charles Melton, Joseph Quinn, Cosmo Jarvis, Kit Connor, Taylor John Smith, Michael Gandolfini, Noah Centineo, Henry Zaga, so many people. This cast is loaded. It is a deep ensemble, I'll tell you that. And essentially each one of these cast members did play a real-life Navy SEAL returning. Several of them are themselves or are their identities, but of course other characters were their names were changed to protect identities. And then up to this point, this is probably the most intense movie that you'll see this year. I'll even say probably the most intense movie since maybe something like Civil War last year, also directed by Alex Garland. It's a film that is, I would say it definitely is more of an experience. It's not it's very stripped of Hollywood glamour. There's not really a hero of the story. There's not even a really main emotional narrative. It really is a we were there moment. It puts you right in the middle of this stressful, anxiety-riven, disturbing, devastating moment that these soldiers were facing. To me, it really is meant to evoke a different type of emotion, a different type of thought from you while engaging with this specific piece of art. And I think the movie does its job and then some. I think it really creates this difficult feeling that you have to sit with, because it truly is giving you a window into something that has really happened and is really happening now in different parts of the world. And I think it is meant to challenge and make you reflect on it. I would not call this military propaganda. I wouldn't even call it necessarily anti-war. Ray Mendoza shared this as well. He said it's not necessarily that it's trying to be an anti-war movie. He's trying to hope that this becomes an accurate description that organizations like the VA or other various companies who contribute to the lives of vets when they return home almost as further proof for the help that is needed. So he's hoping that this starts more conversations. He hopes it adds to other conversations, and he hopes it does lead to other sort of healthcare and safety opportunities for the human beings who return from these situations. In terms of the filmmaking, I think this movie's awesome. I think the sound design, just like Civil War, I know we don't want to talk about awards this early in the year, but the sound design is insane. The gunshots, the explosions, just while everything's going on, it does create this kind of swarming experience that you just feel like claustrophobic in it all. And I think another thing I like too is this movie does really take its time. It's only a 90-minute movie, but I think the experience could feel longer because there's so much dread, there's so much disturbance happening. The movie actually opens in about 20-30 minutes. You really get time to sit with this platoon and this ensemble of characters who are all incredible. I'm going to single out a few in a sec, but I think they all do such a really nice job, especially the ones we highlight. The movie really takes its time. It's a slow burn at the beginning, and it's just them going through their normal check-ins. There's actually a really fun opening where they're dancing and getting hyped up and stuff, so immediately you're starting to form this emotional connection to this squad, if you will. And then it slowly starts showing you how they interact with each other. They're sort of a stakeout in like a sniper's nest, and they're just kind of getting ready for the experience. And there's fun male banter and kind of fun, like testosterone-ridden male fun with each other. And then essentially when when the movie then pops off, it takes on a whole new gear, because the whole time you're worried that something's going to happen. You're feeling like this conflict is going to ensue, and that these young men are going to be in danger, and some of them are probably going to die, and like what could happen. And then the minute that arrives, the movie grabs you by the throat. It never lets you go. You're never able to catch your breath, and it really is this difficult watch. I think the direction here was just really strong as this co-job between Mendoza and Garland. I think the way they've captured certain characters' reactions and the push-in shots, and the way it shows these characters use this really small house that they're in, effective use of space, and in terms of the violence and the brutality of it all, I think it does swing for the fences, and it does show you this graphic, brutal, for me, I think, like incomprehensible violence, because we see it in dramatic fashion in movies, TV, video games, whatever, but to see what it would look like in real life with these real people, knowing that this is something that is happening, that you're watching in front of you, I really appreciated how pretty much relentless they wanted to make this movie for the viewer. The movie also has no score, so once again, it's not trying to dramatize anything. It's not trying to make this feel even like a movie. It's almost like it's hoping that it's found footage. It's hoping that it's a live documentary filming in front of you, and I really appreciated that, because it does make it feel like more of an experience rather than you're just watching a film. I want to highlight some of the actors. Now, I will say all of them do an incredible job. It's a very deep ensemble. I think it's like 15 or something like that I named at the top, and I even forgot some names. They all do a really good job operating together, and especially the ones in the background who really serve their purpose well. But to shout out a couple in particular, I think Will Poulter is awesome in this movie. He sort of plays the lead, the person in command for most of the film. I really like Joseph Quinn as well. He just has this spark to him. I thought Cosmo Jarvis was incredible in here. He has some of the most challenging work to do, and it was just a really stirring experience following his character, because he is someone who I think really just disappeared into the role, and I forgot he was an actor. I know that sounds cheesy. And to rattle it off, I really like Charles Melton in this movie. He's not actually in the movie till a little bit later, but he has such a presence to him, and his character kind of changes the way things are happening for a very specific reason, and I believe the change. I went with it. He really had this leadership to him that I thought was really impressive. Something else we learned in the Q&A is they made the set very much like the military. All the actors in the ensemble had code names. So for example, like some of them were fun, but the one they talked about in the Q&A is that Will Poulter's was Daddy. I posted this clip on my TikTok because he was like the most seasoned of the actors and was getting on them to like eat and do laundry and things like that. But there was actually a command system in place for every part of the crew, including the actors, to kind of keep people in check. So Will Poulter was at the top. I believe Charles Melton was second and Joseph Quinn was third. And they were responsible for keeping each other accountable, keeping the cast and everyone organized. And then on the set, it was very serious. There was no business, no fun, like no funny business, no joking around. It was very much like we are going to create something that is very authentic and we all need to be on the same page for it. All the vets were also present on set with the actors as well. And something else that I felt like the movie did a good job of showing in the direction and the authenticity of the performances is everything felt so specific, and there was such specific set design and such specific movement by the characters that the vets were actually on set telling the actors exactly what happened, where a gunshot rung or which side something exploded on or what part of their body they fell on, just to keep this as the most real depiction as possible. And I think that does really show. It's tough because I really don't have any criticisms. I'm also not saying it's the most perfect thing in the world, but I do think it is this very specific, I'm going to use this word again, compartmentalized experience in about 90 minutes that is really effective, features really some impressive technical elements. I'm going to highlight that sound design again. I really like the direction, this kind of slow build, make you care about every single person and then blow it all up in front of your face. And I just thought the cast was really, really good. I definitely think it's worth seeing if you like war movies or like action or downright want something thrilling. It is very intense though, so if your mileage varies on things like violence or violence that really feels like it's a real life depiction of violence, I would stay away. Also, if you're sensitive to loudness, I would stay away. But I think this is an experience well worth your time. And I think if you're kind of out on Alex Garland, because I know he's lost some people with movies like Men and Civil War, I think this co-direction by him is just like a really solid piece. And if you're worried about any sort of military message or propaganda, I think you could kind of leave that at the door. Sharp editing too. I keep forgetting to say that. I think the editing, along with the sound design and the way they sort of make this such a heart-pounding, thrilling, intense experience is really well done. I'm gonna give this movie like an 8.5 out of 10. I think I really appreciate it for exactly what it is, but at the end of the day, right, when I go watch a movie in terms of a cinematic experience, that I would give something like a 9 or 10 in terms of film with story and emotion, all that. Didn't quite reach that, but a really effective experience. Don't know if I'll ever revisit this movie because of what it is, and I don't necessarily think that's a negative thing. I think in some ways that may be a compliment. But a film I had so much appreciation for, and I actually cannot wait for other people to see it so we could talk about it. So when you do, please let me know in the comments what you think about Warfare, if you liked it, if you disliked it, and maybe some things in specific that you're really, really passionate about. Hope to get back to as many of you as I can, and I will see you all again very, very soon.